Hi everyone. Okay, let's go ahead and get going on our project here. We're going to use some of the basic things that we talked about in the last couple of videos using the paintbrush and setting up layers and scenes. So let's go ahead and continue. So right now we're going to go ahead and start off with Create New. That's the first thing we're going to do when we start this up here. Click on Create New, and when we do, we're going to get this our pop-up window, and we're going to stick with Standard, and we're not going to change the width, height, or frame rate. That's all going to stay the same, 30 frames per second, etc. All stays the same. So I'm going to say create. Now, you'll note that I don't need to change my file. It remembered from the last time that I did this that I am set for Animate, our Animator, as my basic workspace. So I don't have any of the spaces there, which is exactly what I need. Now, for this movie, we're going to go ahead and use 3 layers. So I'm going to have a title layer, a body, and then we're going to have the end credits. So we'll go down to the scene panel, and we're going to click on the add scene twice. Once, twice. Scene 1, double click it. That's going to be the title. Scene 2 is going to be the body of the movie. So we're going to title that body. And scene 3, double click on it, and I'm going to go end. That'll be where our end or end card goes. So I click off the side there. So title, body, end. Now, on the title card, we will do like we did last time. I'm going to use the text tool, and I'm going to go ahead and type in demo. Or let's see, I'm going to call this one head. It's a head. It's animation about my head. So I'm going to start with that one. And I've got the color set up here, but I'm going to change that color. Oh, let's go maybe, oh, well, I don't know. Let's see. Let's click off to the side here with my black arrow. See, it's all white inside. I don't want that. I want to change that to black. Yeah, there we go. I want that to stand out. So I'm going to put that at the third of the way from the top we talked about before. And I'm going to go and use the text tool again. Click again on the artboard here. Put my name in. But I need to shrink it down, don't I? Because we never make the author environment, the author's name, large as the actual name of the title itself. So with it selected, I can go right up here, remember, to the size and font, and I can go and shrink that down. And I'm going to go about halfway the size there. There we go. Now I can move that about a third of the way from the bottom. There we go. So I've got nice equal spacing all the way around. At that first mid-third, I've got the title piece. The other third, all the way up from the bottom, I have my name. Now I want this to last for 3 seconds, and we talked about that last time in class. So we go to the first keyframe on the timeline at the 3-second mark. Right there, we click it once, and we use the F5 key on the keyboard, which we talked about before. All right. Now we need to add a background layer. As we talked about last time, we remember that you have to have a background on there because that white is only just for show in the authoring environment. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to lock this layer. I'm going to title it first and put double click and put text. That's my text layer. And now I'm going to go ahead and lock it. I'm going to add a new layer. And so right here, right above where it says text, this is my new layer button. And you'll notice I stop there and it says new layer. So I click on it once and there's my new layer sitting right underneath there. I can use this. I can also move my cursor and move a double arrow to move it down, get the double arrow, and then I can move that down. There I can see that nicely. Now you'll see that on the second layer that's just come up here where I'm going to put my white background. When we put a new layer down, as you remember from last time, a new layer always goes on the top, but we have to drag it and put it below. So boom, now we dragged it and put it down below, and I'm just going to call that background. So I'm just going to abbreviate background. And now for this one, I need to go ahead and put a white rectangle on that background so that my black lettering pops out. So the first thing I'm going to do is I go right here, there's my rectangle, and I can go right here to the fill here, or I can go here. I'm going to click on that and change it over to white. So I have a white, nice white contrast. Now I'm going to go ahead and go right to the edge of the object or the stage, left click and drag a line. So it can be just a little bit larger than the stage. That's fine. So I've got mine just a little bit bigger. Release and done. And you'll see we've got that all inside here. Oh, look at this. I've got this guy right here. We need to correct that. Let's go Command Z. Remember how to fix those things. Now, what my mistake was is when I extended this frame out, I made the mistake and I didn't go back and push the very first keyframe. So let's do that right now. Select that first keyframe. Now we'll go ahead and draw that white rectangle on there. So I'll go ahead and draw that on there. And there we go. Now it fills up properly. Command Z, it's your good friend. So now we have our first keyframe. I'm going to lock this one. So we have layer number 1 done. So we have our layer number 1. We have the title card and the background. It's all set to go. Now I'm going to go to the end card. So if I go back over here to scene, I go to the end of the movie. And at the end of the movie, now I'm going to go and type again. So this time, if I want to put down my white background, I can certainly do that ahead of time. Go ahead and double click that and say background. Again, I'll abbreviate that. Click off to the side. Got my white rectangle chosen there. I can left click and drag and put that right there, and it's right there on its spot. But I want that to last for 3 seconds, just like the end card. So I'm going to go to the 3-second mark here, click once on that with an F5 and tap it. Boom. Now that background screen is going to remain on there. So I'm going to lock that layer. I'm going to add a new layer on there. So there's my new layer. New layer is going to actually be the text. So double click it, and that's where I'm going to put the text for my end card. So literally, I'm going to click on keyframe number 1, that's where I want the text to go. And then I click on the text tool, and I click on the stage, and I say the end. Let's say and end. There we go, the end. Now I can go ahead and click off that with my black arrow. And look, it's all white. Oh, because I got white lettering. I need to change that font. Let's go black. There we go. Now I'm going to put that right in the very center. Put that right in the center. It's good scale, not too small. Nice and clean space here, organized well. So now I'm going to go ahead and lock this layer. So for all intents and purposes, I have the title scene set up with 3 seconds of that, and I have the end scene set up with 3 seconds for this. Now what I need to do is go in and do the body itself. Now here's the body of the movie. So now what we're going to do is, on this one, I'm going to go ahead and bring in my white background. So I'm going to say background. So abbreviate that, my background. And I'm going to go first and, again, turn that color. Let's go back to white and my rectangle. And I'm going to left click and drag. And there we are. Now I'm going to put that on there for 3 seconds. Okay. We'll start off with 3 seconds. It'll end up going longer than that. Let's see. Well, you know what? Let's go 1 second to start with. Let's start there. 1 second to start with. So there's 1 second right there. And then I'm going to F5, boom, put that in. Now what I want to do is I'm going to lock this layer, and I'm going to add a new layer on top. And I hit the plus sign right here where it says new layer. And now this is going to be the photo. So I double click that. I'm going to label it photo, because you are going to import the photo that you use for your original cartoon drawing of yourself, and you'll put that right there. Okay, you'll import that. So to bring it in, I can either go File, Import, Import to Stage, or I can simply, if I have my photo just sitting on my desktop, I can click on the keyframe where I want it to go, which is the first keyframe, and then go over and left click on the photo from my desktop and drag it right in and release. And it populates right into that spot. See, it just turned gray. The image came right in. Beautiful, all set to go. Now I want to rescale it a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and click on my free transform tool, which is this one right here. And now you see I've got my points here. And I can go ahead and I can grab one of these corners, stretch it out a little bit. And then I can rearrange that, put that right dead center. So I want to make that fairly large, make that center of the screen. So I've got room to do some other drawing around my head. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and lock that layer. Now I can go back in with my next layer, which is actually where I'm going to do the drawing. Okay, so let's go ahead and I go back up to the top where my new layer is, add a new layer. And at this point, what happens is that for the first 12 frames, I don't want anything to happen. I want to leave that alone. So at frame number 12 here, I'm going to click right there, and then I'm going to right click and say insert blank keyframe. Right there. So what I did was I converted that frame and I put this as a stop. So nothing happens, and then here, something's going to happen. Okay. Now what I can do is probably, because if I keep adding frames here, this upper area will keep extending out. I'll show you. If I keep hitting F5 right there, it's going to keep extending out. So what I can do is make my life a little easier, is I can go and use the Shift and F5 to go ahead and take that back. I'll take it back to just that first keyframe right there. See, I took it back right to there. Now what I'm going to do on this blank keyframe is this is where the painting starts. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say select, a nice bright red, and I'm going to select my paintbrush, which is right here. Click that guy. Now when I click it, you'll notice right here all the presets change right here on the right hand side. We're not going to go too crazy with it or too detailed, but we've got our fill color, and you can see I can change it here or there. I've got the size of the stroke, right? So if I make a stroke here, that's as big as it is at 8 point. If I take it all the way up to here, there it is right there. So you can see the difference. You can really play with that stroke and get big or small. So I'm going to go ahead here, Command Z to get rid of that. Now, let's take this back down to right about, about 5 or so. That's a good nice. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do a series of drawings where I have little marks coming out of my ears. So I'm going to start on the first one here is go 1 and 2 and 3. And then I'm just going to left click and drag, left click and drag, left click and drag. So there you go. There's that frame, and notice it's turned into a black dot. It means it's got a keyframe with something on it. But what I want to do now is I want to go ahead and copy and paste this frame into the next notch on the timeline, because I want to successively add more and more content to each keyframe, adding to the animation as it goes through. Okay, so what I'm going to do first off right here now is I'm going to go right click on the next here, and I'm going to say Insert Keyframe. And what that does is it put a copy of exactly what happened in the last keyframe in the new spot. But remember now, it's a copy, so I need to add more to it. So with my paintbrush still selected, I can go ahead and add a little bit more. That's a little more, a little more, a little more, a little more. And I go more here, 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 and there. So I've changed it a little bit. Now let's go ahead again, right click, and we say go ahead and insert keyframe. Boom, there's a copy of that one. So now we add a little bit more. Boom, 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 boom. And so we're slowly, basically the idea is this little stuff is sort of going out of my head here, okay? And then we'll go ahead and right click and we'll say copy frame again. Or excuse me, not copy, my apologies. Sorry for misdirecting you. You want to go ahead and go with insert keyframe. Okay, so now we're gonna go back in, we go more, 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 more. There we go. Got lots more going on there. So if I grab this blue scrub bar and I go back and forth, watch this. See how it's growing out, in, out, in. So out and in. All right. So on the last one. Now I'm going to go over here to the next one. I'm going to click on this keyframe. Right. I've got that selected. Now I go to the next notch in the timeline, and I'm going to right click and say Insert Keyframe. And there's a copy of it. And then we draw some more. Okay, and then we go next spot, right click, Insert Keyframe, and we add some more still. Now while you're doing this, if you want to have maybe swirls come out of your eyes, or you want to start changing things up and you want a worm to crawl out of your mouth, or you want something else to happen, hey, you go for it. You go right ahead and do it. So I'm going to say Insert Keyframe again, right? And so then I keep going again and again, and I just keep adding more and more to it. All right, maybe I can go back in and add a few little things here and there inside, right? I can go ahead on this side, pull a few more things out. All right, go ahead and bring this out over here, bring this over here and here, bring this over, out, put a little line in there, a little something in there. And you can see right along the way that, look at that. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Look at that, beautiful. All right, so now basically the idea is that you would keep doing this until you hit frame 30, all right? You do that until you get to frame 30, all right? That's gonna be the big thing you wanna do. You wanna go all the way to frame 30, okay? So go ahead and work on that, and I'm gonna come back in just a second, and I'll finish this up. All right, well, here we are, everybody. I'm at the end here. I've gone ahead and copied and pasted here, so I'm gonna hit the return key, and look at that. I can go ahead and see what I've got here. So all that crazy red line work is all buzzing out of my ears, all around me and covering me all up. All right. Now what we want to do is the last part here before we get rid of this and we want to export it is we have to copy and paste the frames and let it run reverse. Here's how we do that.